A little bit of mince, but otherwise good. Yeah.
The good things about your lemonade for
Good.
Vicky.
Okay. All right, it is 5:30 and I'm going to call this meeting to order. Chair Sabrina Dunlap is going to be joining us a little later. But present we have Jeff Donahoe, Alyssa McKeon, Vicky Brom, and I'm Stephen Whitley. And God, the second time that's happened, it always goes in your direction too. So fun. So we'll start off with our points of pride. Farsi, Kelly, do you have any points of pride to talk about?
Yeah, I did actually just want to say, to the highway department, they did a really great job with the massive amounts of rain that we've been getting and trying to respond as quickly as possible. I know they've put in some long hours.
Yeah, no, I've heard from people around town that, there's been a lot of roads that have been an issue, and I know they've been working really hard. So, yeah.
Yeah.
Anybody else have any points of pride?
Sabrina asked to also give a huge thank you to the DPW for all of their work and everything they are doing. Which I also want to ditto, I cannot even imagine the amount of work or the length of time it's taking just to get the roads passable again. So thank you all.
Okay, if nobody else has any other points of pride, we'll move on to the, oh, you do, oh, go ahead, Chief, yeah.
I just got this today, so I thought it was
Thanks,
something
Chief.
coming, so. A lot of times my officers get. Thanks.
Thank you.
Confused, but. not-
Thank you so much.
Letter. That was Reference Officer Erickson. Who's been doing a fantastic job. He is our newest officer, but he's fitting in just well, so, it was very nice to see that.
Oh, that's great. Just for those that are listening and maybe didn't pick that up, we just got a letter written to Chief Hennessy complimenting Officer Jeffrey Erickson. So thank you, Chief.
Thank you.
Appreciate that.
How nice.
All right, so first up is approval of the consent agenda.
I move to approve the consent agenda.
Do I have a second?
Seconded.
Okay, all those in favor, say aye. Any opposed? Okay. Next up, we have approval of the public meeting minutes from May 27th.
Move to approve.
Do I have a second?
Seconded.
All right. If there are no edits to the minutes, can I get a vote? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Right, any opposed? None. Okay, next up, we have approval of the non-public meeting minutes from May 27th. And those here. And they are sealed. Get a motion to approve those?
Move to approve.
Seconded.
Give you a second, Becky.
It's okay. I mean,
Okay. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. So next up, we have our first public appointment, Chief Hennessy. Come on up here, Chief.
Thank you. Yes, it's presentation one. So you guys had asked me to put together a little, what? You get the right one.
Second. Well, that's the
Oh.
other one I have for tonight. I think it's.
Yeah, go for it.
The opening.
So just to start, it was a great trip. I'll be honest, it was a lot more work than I expected. We were up at 6 a.m., 6:30, the latest. And we were on the road probably by, actually, it was probably earlier than that, 5:36, and we were on the road by 7 at
That's what,
minimum every day.
wow.
Ride all the way until pretty much the sun went down, get to our next hotel, and then go do it all again, so it's pretty chaotic.
It is.
But it was it's definitely something on my bucket list and something I enjoyed doing.
You wanna do this?
So I copied a video that gave me like a half a second of fame, if you can catch me in it, but it was actually from California, but it explains very well what he did. So I thought that I would play it for you.
families of fallen officers. And what was a small idea has now turned into a national movement. Fox 11 photojournalist Sam Dubin and I give you a look. Pedaling to honor the fallen. Thousands of cyclists arrived to cheering families at the National Law Enforcement Memorial in Washington, D.C. after completing this year's Police Unity Tour. For the past 3 days, hundreds of LA area law enforcement officers, members of the Southern California chapter of the Ride, completed nearly 300 miles of riding from Somerset, New Jersey to Washington, D.C. For many riders, participating in this event is personal, as you can tell by the names and photos affixed to their bikes.
First, this is an important partner, passed away from years ago, April 15, 2023, Terry Samuel. And we're just gonna do this in memory of him, for him and his family. I'm here to ride the 270 miles from Somerset, New Jersey to DC in honor of my buddy, Paul Jordan, who died on January 22nd in a fatal car accident. This year, we rode for Freddie Flores, who lost his life in a traffic accident.
I have a second frame, did you miss me?
Oh. Let's hit you on the bike.
Yeah.
And finally, to Washington, D.C., riding the bike nearly 300 miles over the course of 3 days is no easy feat. For many riders, it's their first time on a road bike, and for some, it's their first time riding 100 miles a day.
And the ride is fun. We tell our friends and families about the miles we're gonna ride, it goes around telling you. The reaction is in disbelief that California is going to be there. In reality, the ride is nothing compared to California. But the life of the body, family have to do with that.
Each participant must start fundraising and training up to a year before the event, practicing climbing hills and learning the necessary skills to ride in a group of hundreds. However, they aren't riding alone. It takes a village and truckloads of support volunteers to make this event possible. A week before the ride begins, FedEx ships all of the bicycles from Los Angeles to New Jersey. Once the bikes arrive, they are unboxed and assembled. Motorcycles from the Los Angeles Police and Sheriff's Department are also shipped, as their motor officers and deputies help provide an escort for the ride. Hotel ballrooms are transformed into bike storage rooms. Back in DC, the true meaning of the ride comes to light. Officers look at the memorial wall, lined with the names of those who made the ultimate sacrifice.
An opportunity for all of us to come together. And of course, come here, Washington, D.C. The event is going to sit on these officers, so it's honor to see.
That's it. So I thought that gave a better synopsis than I probably could. So I put a couple pictures in here, but so we were chapter 7. There's like 12 different chapters that I didn't know about when I first signed up. And I don't know how I got hooked up with LA, but I did. So, but like I said, it's pretty funny. If you look at the list, it's like LAPD, LA County Sheriff's Office, San Diego, Hopkinton. Like, if I said where I was from, I'd be like, yeah, New England, you know. These are just short videos. I won't play the whole thing, but this is the start, pretty much the start of it. So there were 52 motorcycles and 450 bicyclists. So, and then imagine at the same time at the hotel. That was chaos. And this is another. That was about the speed, man. That was about the speed we went the whole time. Wow. Anywhere between 10 to 20 miles an hour, but our average speed was about 15. So the one on the left was, I think, Thursday. It was pouring rain, waiting for motorcycles to be shipped in. The one late is us coming out of New York City. New York PD took us for a tour downtown, closed all the roads off for us as we went through. So we went through with no traffic. It was very nice. We got to go to ground zero. This is precinct 1, which is the original precinct with a couple of cars there. That was pretty cool. St. Patrick's Cathedral on the left. And we drove right through Times Square with no problems. Ground zero. Good to see that. I had more of a history lesson in this than I have in a long time. I was in Liberty Bell. They let us in after hours, and just us motorcycles. Sorry. Independence Hall. And then that's us leaving the city. So this was kind of an explanation of how things go. When you pack all your stuff again, put it on a box truck, the box truck goes to the next hotel, puts it in a big room, and it's like a free for all. You just all got to get your luggage, and it's chaotic. You don't get back to the hotel till like 9, and then you still got to eat. You got to grab your luggage, you got to shower, and then you finally get to bed by like midnight, and up at 5:30 again the next morning and do it again. So this was actually pretty tame. I was one of the last ones in this one. So, and then there's a line for the elevator because everyone's trying to use the elevator to go up. So you get 550 people going the same place at the same time, it gets chaotic. So if there's Baltimore City Hall, I tried to get Hopkinton in somehow there. That was our view from our hotel in Baltimore. That was probably the best view we had. And this is all the chapters. So just chapter 7. That is all the other chapters combined. I couldn't even tell you the number. I have no idea what it was. People. And this is us riding through let us up on the curb and drive right through. The camera shakes a lot because it's a Harley, but I'll play it for a couple of seconds here. So it's nice. You get all the family surrounding you, all like clapping for you, and it's moving. And the fact that we get to do this was nice. So on the left is the wall with all the names on it. We get to go all the way through. But yeah, the camera shakes a lot, but everyone's slapping you, cheering for you, and it's nice. It's a nice touch. So, and that's when all the bicyclists were coming in. We parked along the side of the road and kind of congratulated them. Okay, that's my whole unit, 52 of us, in front of the White House. So good. Hopkinton on the map. So
That's great.
yeah, it was a good time. It was like I said, it was a lot of work, but it was well worth it. So I appreciate you guys giving me the opportunity to do that.
Thank you very much, Chief.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
Thank you.
thank you for representing us. Yeah.
Legit,
Oh, yeah.
just go
You can ask multiple questions if you like.
miles a day. How often does like the big group stop?
So we usually leave around 7. We stop halfway between lunch and when we left. So we usually go for a couple miles, stop for lunch. I'm sorry, stop for a break, couple more miles, stop for lunch. Then we get one more break. Then we just ride till we're done. And then we go find food once we get to the hotel. So, but yeah, they had a break in between breakfast and lunch then lunch and dinner. So they did a good job. They did a good job. So any other questions?
Yes. I think we're all set. Thank you again, Chief.
I do have one other thing for you.
Oh, okay.
Am I okay to, do this? A grant? This is the speed grant?
Oh, great.
Yeah. So this is just a speed grant that we need signed. It's gonna be on the minutes, so I gotta say it. But it's Sabrina and
Stephen.
yeah, probably. They need to sign it, so I mean, it's the same speed grant that we've had. It's the state enforcement corridor patrols on 202 and 9 and click it or ticket and stuff like that. So it's the same one that we've gotten for.
Do you know if we need to do any sort of a motion or a vote to sign that?
I don't think you do. I think as long as it's on the minutes that it was.
Presented.
I
Yeah.
think we do.
I think we probably do. Can I just see that real quick, Chief?
I think it's $13,700. Yep. We pay the initial cost, but then they reimburse us full.
Right.
Yeah, it looks like we need to do a motion here. Chief, have we seen this already?
Yeah, I've not seen that exact copy, but
Okay.
like I said, I think we've been doing it for close to 20 years.
Is there a time frame just so we can let people look at it before they have to vote on it?
It might be on there, but I don't think it's anytime soon. I don't think we're in crunch time, so.
Okay, then what I'm gonna suggest is that you give this to Kelly and that she can circulate it to everyone for the next meeting and we'll make sure it's on the consent agenda and we'll get it signed.
Awesome.
Okay?
Thank you.
And thanks again, Chief, for representing Hopkinton and also for the show and tell from what a cool experience it was.
If you guys have any other questions or you want more pictures, let me know.
Yeah, will do.
Thank you, chief.
Do the photos my way so I can post them on the Hopkinton Facebook group. That'd be great.
How would you like me to get them to you? Just through the email?
My email is just alyssamccann@gmail.com. I'm easy to find.
Think you can handle that? Thank you very much.
Thanks a lot, chief.
Thank you.
All right, we're gonna move on to our next public appointment. Right on time, I might add, which is Hazen and Sawyer to talk about the wastewater asset management program.
I'm gonna pull the PowerPoint up, but I'm not sure that they can, well, there's nobody on.
Okay,
Page share, I think.
said that couldn't come from DES and she said that she might try to sign in, but I don't see her name. If you see Sarah Ridyard pop up, that would be her, but.
I do not.
Sorry.
Yeah, well, I wanna, I can get it to pull up, but I want people on Zoom to see it.
Oh, I don't think that.
I was just trying to
I
see
think
if
you
can-
share your.
Yeah, click the green button.
Yeah, click the share button.
Yeah, so I was
Perfect. And then just choose what you want to share.
doing the arrow next to it.
It's the
The
one bottom right
Yeah,
there.
there it is.
There you go.
And now they see exactly what you see.
Now, if you hit the little,
I think if you hit F5, it'll go into slideshow mode.
or the little icon down the bottom next to the slider.
There we go.
I think that should work. Okay.
There it is.
Okay.
Hello.
Hello.
How are you?
Good, how are you?
Good.
My name is Jacqueline Lemieux and I'm from Hazen and Sawyer. We were contracted by the town to complete an asset management plan for the wastewater in town. And this first phase of this plan was grant funded by New Hampshire DES. So this is just an agenda slide, just a brief explanation of what we're gonna go through. So project understanding, points of contact, and we'll get into a little bit more of what each of these topics mean as we go through. So for this project, it only included the town's horizontal wastewater infrastructure. So that includes all the gravity sewer, force main pipes, manholes and valves. It does not include the pump station and the wastewater treatment facility and the equipment in there. And just so you know, the existing sewer system is made up of 8-inch to 12-inch cast iron pipe. So I'll start out with what is asset management. Essentially, asset management is a way for the town to organize their data. This is a mouthful, but this is from the New Hampshire DES Asset Management Handbook and Toolkit that you can find online. So officially, it's about delivering a specified level of service to customers at an optimal life cycle cost and acceptable risk with a strategy that ensures long-term sustainability of public assets. So a way to break it down that makes it a little bit easier to understand is following these four questions. Which assets should we replace and repair? How much money do we need to reserve? How much should we be spending? And essentially, this is just a tool to inform capital improvement planning. So this is a figure that kind of shows the difference between what we're currently doing and where we want to go. The current approach is a reactive management approach, so it's more waiting for something to fail to then replace, whereas we want to be more proactive and eventually strategic. So the proactive is to increase the benefits and costs of the system. So a way of doing that is to anticipate when something is going to fail and making preventative measures before it fails. And then eventually would like to get to a strategic approach, and that is more of a long-term planning approach, but it'll take a few steps to get there. And we can run through this quickly, but the benefits of asset management, it provides a data-driven, defensible way to prioritize projects instead of just where maybe sometimes it might feel like it comes out of thin air to the town. It'll be able to show exactly what's failing, why, how much time is expected left for each asset. It'll provide guidance for when to implement which repairs and where to extend the lifetime of certain assets, and basically where the community should be prioritizing their money. So this is a big one, the point of contact. So for this wastewater asset management plan, Dave White and Beverly Zent will be essentially the champions of this. They'll be responsible for making this a rolling document. We don't want to take what we did here and have it sit on the shelf for 10 years until we look at it again. This is something that's going to be revisited every year, and it's going to be a way to help the town prioritize their projects. So as part of the grant, we had to come up with a vision statement, and we had a workshop at the beginning of this project with town staff and DES to help us come up with this statement. So the statement is, we are dedicated to improving and sustaining our wastewater collection system to deliver exceptional service to our community. Through the asset management program, we will optimize funding to both maintain our current infrastructure and support responsible growth of the system. And at the time, we also did include the Economic Development Committee in that meeting as well. So as part of the asset management plan, we had to establish stakeholders for this plan. So internal stakeholders are basically different divisions of town staff who may have an interest in the wastewater infrastructure. So we have the fire department, planning and building, police department, public works, sewer department, administration, and the economic development committee. And then the external stakeholders is really anybody else that could be affected by this. So residential, industrial, commercial customers, the school district, regulators, and the community as a whole. So to start out, we had to go to the wastewater treatment facility and find all the records to develop a GIS inventory. We started out with a paper map on the left where we geo-reference each of the manholes to try to get them into GIS so that we had a preliminary inventory. Since we found this paper map, we've also found record drawings of the sewer system from 1983. So we have refined this GIS a little bit, but that was part of a separate phase of this project. But I just wanted to make that note.
Jacqueline, can I just pause real quick? I'm hearing from someone that people on Zoom are having trouble seeing the slides. So I don't know, Kelly, if you can just confirm that you're still sharing.
Yeah, it says right at the top.
They're not seeing it full screen, probably.
No, I don't know. Yeah, so yeah, I'm also hearing on YouTube, it's not showing. So for everybody listening, we'll just make this presentation available. And you can look at it. Maybe we can post it online. So people can see it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Go ahead, Jeff. Sorry for that.
Oh, no problem. So after we got everything into the GIS, we had to develop level of service goals. So these are used to outline the community's performance expectations, essentially. And it'll help define the way in which the community leaders, managers, and operators want the community's assets to perform over the long term. What's important to note that these need to be measurable goals. So you can't just say, I want the sewer system to work well next year. There's got to be a way to measure that. So on the right, we just have some guidelines on how those were developed. And once again, we use the New Hampshire DES Asset Management Toolkit. I won't go through each goal here, but these were the level of service goals that we came up with. We divided them into 4 categories: customer service, O&M, regulatory requirements, and environmental and financial goals. So just as an example, a customer service goal would be response time to outages and breaks. It's a little hard to read on here, sorry. So the response time goal is within 24 hours, we want to respond. And each year we'll be able to go back to these goals and revisit and say, was this realistic? How can we change it for next year? How can we do better? And then for some financial goals, it's review budget for operating expenses, review sewer rates, and those will be done on an annual basis. So things like that. So then we move into the prioritization and risk assessment framework. So establishing a risk protocol for each asset using a comprehensive condition assessment and criticality approach. So right now we just have the framework completed as part of this first phase. Recently at town meeting, we voted on the second phase, which includes the condition assessment for this work. So that'll be the inspection, cleaning, and CCTV of each sewer pipe and manhole. Right now, all we had was the information from the record drawings in 1983. So that'll help us give us more of an idea of, I guess, the condition of each pipe, whether or not that there's any breaks, cracks, grease buildup, et cetera. And that'll help us develop the prioritization and risk assessment framework. So the way this works is each asset, so that'll be each segment of pipe from manhole to manhole, each manhole itself will get a risk score. And that risk score is calculated by the likelihood of failure and the consequence of failure. So the likelihood of failure is, you can think it's more physical attributes. So it'll be things like the age, material, inspection frequency. Whereas the consequence of failure is more of an economic, social safety, environmental standpoint. So what does it mean if that piece of pipe or that manhole fails to the town? And then you take those two scores, multiply them by each other to get a risk score. And that'll help to prioritize which assets are in critical need of replacement or repair and which assets are, say, in good condition. And that'll help prioritize your projects going forward. So in order to do that, we need to develop the wastewater asset inventory. Like I mentioned before, we have the preliminary inventory done based on the record drawings from the 1980s. So this next phase in the condition assessment, we'll be able to get in there with cameras and take a look at every single asset. We'll be able to clean them to really get a good look at maybe if there's any cracks or any wear and tear that needs to be repaired. And what we're looking for is some of the information in the sub-bullets, like the pipe diameter, installation year, pipe material, the invert elevation, manufacturer, so that you guys have a really good idea of what's existing in your sewer system.
How will you be able to tell the manufacturer? Is it stamped inside the pipe or?
That may be tough. Sometimes when you get in the manholes, you can see from there, but that might be one that we're unable to get. So this is all based in Excel, but I just wanted to go through this is kind of a crash course, but the likelihood of failure reference table. So this is basically a table that talks to the big spreadsheet. So I know it's hard to read from here, but this is just the asset categories that we're looking at. So we're looking at the physical condition, and that everything's evaluated based on a 1 to 5 scale, 1 being, say, no defects and 5 very high. So that could be essentially a broken or collapsed pipe. And that's all evaluated based on PACP ratings, and those are standards in wastewater engineering. So those aren't, it's not a very arbitrary grading system. This is like standard in the industry. And then we also have the same thing for the consequence of failure reference tables. So what does it mean if a pipe fails, for example? And one way to think about it is if a pipe fails downtown, that's going to have a much greater consequence than if a pipe at the end of the line in the neighborhood fails. So it's trying to take all the different aspects and put it into a score. And I know that it can seem a little convoluted, but there's a way to try to even that out, and that's based on the weight on the right. So the town's able to adjust those weights to what's most important to prioritize these assets. And that's broken down in this table here. So for example, we have the likelihood of failure performance criteria in the top left table, and that's O&M, so system cleaning and asset inspection frequency. So it has to get to 100%. So those are both 50%. Whereas on the consequence of failure criteria on the right, that goes from compliance, environmental, community impacts, and financial. And we had meetings with the town and we distributed the weights there, but then say next year we can go back and reevaluate and say, did that make sense for the town? And those can be easily manipulated. And then essentially this is to help the life cycle costing. So a way to think about this is if you need a new piece of pipe, it may be expensive on the front end, but in the whole life cycle, it may be cheaper than paying for the O&M to every year clean that pipe or whatnot. So this is trying to balance that out. And it's a way to estimate the total capital, operating and maintenance costs for an asset over its operating life. The benefits of this is you have knowledge about the total asset cost. So it's not just that initial cost of purchasing a piece of equipment, the ability to prepare maintenance schedules that promote efficiency of staff's time and resources, more accurate maintenance and repair budgets, and greater detail when predicting general costs. Sorry, I know this is a lot in 15 minutes, but this comes into the capital improvement planning tool. So this tool essentially brings everything together. So the blue columns are the asset scores that'll be inputted. 1 is low risk, 5 is high risk. And then the orange and red columns are the calculated risk scores. So those are automatically calculated based on what's inputted in the blue columns. So this CIP tool will be used in future phases to analyze funding requirements and develop strategies to address future funding gaps. And then this is just another screenshot a little further to the right in that spreadsheet. So eventually we'll have estimated replacement costs and initial costs for each piece of equipment so that we're able to, when we're looking at budgeting for the following year, estimate what those project costs will be. And then in order to do this, we had to develop a funding strategy. So that involves the best ways to allocate funds for the operation, maintenance, repair, and rehabilitation of the assets. So what funds are needed? Where can we pull the money from? Will this impact user rates? What personnel will be required to operate and maintain these assets? And then to tie this all together, we've put together an implementation and communications plan. So this will be published on the town website, and this will be essentially a roadmap for, say, a community member to take a look at, and they'll be able to see how the community will do each core element, how it will continue with asset management over the long term. It'll be used as an information to communicate data and knowledge to both internal and external stakeholders. It'll be a baseline for what training is available, and it'll explain how decisions were made in the development of this asset management plan. And standard operating procedures are also included in this plan so that, say, Dave's successor can take this plan and keep it moving.
Dave's only got 20 years left.
That's what I tell him.
Right in my mind, I was like, Dave's not going anywhere.
I was excited that you had a successor.
Me too.
Yeah.
And this is just a little bit of snippet of the communications planning. So I worked with Beverly. Each, I guess, different type of communication has a different method. So for planned interrupted to service, you may use billing inserts, Hopkinton News and Notices Bulletin, an alert. It'll be posted on the web page and the Facebook page. And I won't go through each one, but this is all included in that implementation and communication plan. questions? I know that was a lot really fast, so.
I had a couple, but I didn't know if anybody else wanted to. So is there a time frame to complete this?
Yeah, so this was a grant funded project by DES. This first phase will be completed by the end of the month.
Oh, okay.
And then the next phase that was voted on in March town meeting, that'll begin probably this fall.
And that next phase, any sense of how long that'll take?
Less than a year.
Okay, okay. And at the end of the next phase, is there some tangible deliverable that we'll get as a?
Yeah, there'll be a report with an assessment of the entire system.
Okay. And my other question was, I mean, one of the goals at least is for this information to be used by our CIP committee.
Right.
And I didn't know if there's been any sort of engagement specifically with them about the finished product and how they'll be able to use that in their process.
I don't believe there has, but I think when we have the final tool, it might be a good idea for us to put it in the town administrator and do a similar presentation one that was just provided to you.
Yeah, that was,
Scale down, but definitely take that to them and talk to them about what they could expect to see from some year basis.
yeah, I mean, I would even, maybe get in touch with them sooner and see if they have any input into, the tool that's going to result, because their input could maybe help steer you guys to providing a product that is actually really useful to them.
That makes sense. Yeah, and Neil was heavily involved, but since he left, we have plans to have that conversation with the new town administrator when she starts.
Right. Yeah, that's all I had. Anybody else has any questions?
I do, I have a
Yeah.
question. So on the left-hand side of a lot of those spreadsheets, it's asset one, asset two, asset
Yep.
three, which I assume refers to nothing. Those are placeholders.
Those are
Taking
placeholders
sense.
for now. Yep.
What about like the little years, the 1950, 2012? Is that's all placeholders?
That was just to show you how it works. Most of it, if not all of it, will be 1983 for now,
Okay,
because I don't believe any of it's been.
yeah, I was
replaced
shocked to see
since.
2012 up there.
So, yeah, we were just trying to show different situations, just so you
Yeah,
kind of had an idea of what it will look like.
so instead of asset one, what is the naming scheme that will be understandable by Joe Citizen?
Okay, so each manhole will have a number
Okay,
within the GIS, and usually the way that the pipe is labeled is like manhole to manhole.
yep,
So they'll be able to refer to the map and see what manhole is where, and then,
so they can see like I'm by manhole 60 and 61.
right.
And then they'll be able to find.
Yes,
that-
we haven't talked specifically about the naming convention yet, but it could be like 60_61
Yep,
would be the naming convention for the pipe.
okay, got it. And then they could cross-reference the map to see where their house lies and how bad or good their pipe is.
Right.
After the phase two.
Yes, yeah, if that report will be public, right?
So I think we'd have to coordinate that. Sometimes I think.
I'm sorry, you need to come up.
Yeah.
So the microphone can hear you.
Yeah.
I'm presuming the report itself would be public. I don't know that we share all the water and wastewater lines
Spreadsheets all the time.
on GIS, but we will definitely coordinate that. I don't know if it's always been a sensitive issue to share all the infrastructure details on maps,
Right.
public maps. Certainly that information would be available to anyone who came in and requested that information. I think we hadn't really talked about that, but that is a good question, I think.
Yeah, I think that's whether or not the GIS layer will be made public. I know sometimes the sewer layers aren't made public, but they're made more of like for town use, if that makes sense.
I mean, yeah, I guess so. I know about like protecting critical infrastructure, but it seems like manholes are pretty obvious. No, David's saying they're not. Right, but I'm saying like in the interest of your communications plan, I don't live on the sewer system, but my first thought would be like, I'm gonna go find where my house is on this report.
So I think the report itself would be a public document. I don't
Yeah,
think the
and
GIS,
that's
the
included.
GIS layer may not be shared online, but.
I don't really know what the GIS layer is.
Well, we have our GIS data online for the public to look at, parcel layers. You can take a look at your own parcel, neighbor's parcel. It has all this information, sensitive areas or critically sensitive areas, town property. This is all available to the public online. We would not probably share the infrastructure layer online, but the report itself would, it would have to be a public document. It would be shared.
And that'll
Absolutely.
include a paper map that'll show all the manholes labeled.
Right, right. Yeah, no, I don't think I was asking about like
Okay.
the
So hopefully
deep
that's.
GIS data. I just mean, people are gonna wanna see, what is my pipe?
Sure.
How's my pipe doing?
I'll be included in the report done in phase 2.
Okay.
How do you look inside the pipe? Is it a robot? Is it just a
It's a
person?
robot. It's a camera essentially on a robot connected to a cord, and they'll put it in one manhole.
Mhm.
Go from that manhole to the next manhole. And it's able to do a 360 recording of the pipe, and then they'll pull it out, put it in the next manhole, do the next segment.
Is it a cute robot?
It's not cute. It's in the sewer.
I'm gonna pick my 5-year-old, because I'm like, I want to know if I need to be there on pipe day.
It's not the coolest robot you've ever seen.
Just checking, thank you.
So does it just use a camera and light, or is it using, LiDAR or something to?
This
get
would just be a
3D?
camera with a light.
Got it.
Anybody else have any questions for
No,
Jennifer?
you asked all the ones I was gonna ask.
Dave, is there anything you wanted to add to any of that? Okay.
How are you feeling about, like, is this giving you what you need?
Can't happen fast enough.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you very much.
Thank you.
And just for the public, we'll get that posted online so that everybody can have access to it.
Sure.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.
All right. We are on to our next public appointment, which is Christine Johnson to come chat about transfer station decals.
Great topic.
Yes, very, very exciting.
All right. So at the end of the season last year, a few Sandy Beachers had come in and asked for dump stickers. From what I'm understanding, excuse me, Sandy Beach no longer allows their campers to throw away larger items. They do have a dumpster for household trash, their regular trash, so they're not going to be going to our transfer station with everything. So the few people that came in, if they happen to be some of the few that pay taxes on their camper or campsite, we gave them dump stickers. My question, we can continue to look people up and see if they're paying taxes on their camper, issue them dump stickers. If they're not paying taxes on their camper, refuse them. But at the same time, I don't know how that's gonna affect the town. Are people gonna start leaving their grills on the side of the road? Are they gonna leave a bike somewhere because they can't throw it away at the campground anymore? So my question was, did we want to, one of my thoughts was if we had like a one-time pass that we could give Sandy Beach, have at their main station that their campers could use for one-time use. We could laminate them, just have these little cards that if they have a larger item to throw away and they want to go to our transfer station for that one-time use, Sandy Beach would have them to hand out, and then they'd return them when they were done going to our transfer station. That way we're not giving our the dump stickers out to all of the seasonal people who are here just for the summer. So that was one of my bigger questions, just to give you guys an idea. From what I can see in my tax system, there's 182 campsites and 66 of them have an assessed value. So 116 do not have an assessed value, so that means they're probably paying registration for their camper. So if they pay for their camper to be registered in their town, they don't have to pay taxes in Hopkinton. But if they have a set, a set camper here and it doesn't leave here, or they don't register it in their town every year, they get assessed a tax. So that's just to give you an idea. If I went by if you're paying taxes, you get a dump sticker. Only 66 of them pay taxes to the town, where you have over 100 that do not, but they could still potentially have something that Sandy Beach will no longer let them throw away in their dumpster to throw away. And part of it is just trying to prevent things just being left anywhere because they have nowhere to throw it and they don't want to bring it all the way home to Massachusetts or wherever their permanent residence is. So it was more just throwing it out there. I didn't know what you guys thought and what you, how you would like us to move forward. If we have Sandy Beach campers come in and request a dump sticker.
What have we done? Like, what's our historical sort of way we've addressed this?
So before, they didn't need dump stickers.
Oh, that's right.
Sandy Beach, the campground themselves took care of everything. But at the end of last year, we had probably 5 people come in and ask us for dump stickers because Sandy Beach was no longer taking care of their larger trash. They were only taking the household trash. And with the season starting, I wanted to know how you guys would like us to move forward with it.
I don't know if you have the answer to this, but of the campsites that aren't paying taxes, is that gonna be multiple groups, let's say campers or families over the course of the season, or do they rent it for the season?
I think that I can't answer specifically, but I do know that there are many campers who register their vehicles in their own town. So if I have a camper and I want to stay here for the season, I just rent the space for the season, but because I register my camper in Massachusetts, I don't pay Hopkinton tax.
Right, they're not on our
Right.
radar.
Exactly. Exactly. I think some of those they come and they rent for the week and they're gone, but I think a majority of them are seasonal campers who are here for the season.
Have we asked Jolene for any input on this?
Say that again?
Have we asked Jolene for any input on
I
this?
have not reached out to Jolene yet. I did briefly mention it to Sandy Beach. Tina at the office. She didn't have anything really one way or the other to say whether she thought the temporary permits were a good idea.
I just see that getting lost after 3 people use it, it's not coming back, and then she's gonna be down here looking for another one for nothing.
Well, I mean, if we assign them to Sandy Beach themselves, and it's up to their office to keep track of them, and if they don't have them, I mean, I don't know if there would be a fee to this. That's all part of what.
We don't know either.
Yeah, and I mean, I guess to me, I don't know how many dump stickers we want to be handing out to seasonal people. Some of them live in Concord and, come to the beach,
Yeah.
hang out here in the summer. Some live in Massachusetts, some live all over the place, I guess. So it's more just,
In my mind, anyone who is a taxpayer has a right to a dump sticker. I guess where my mind is going is I'm like, is the campground in any way not like, are they shuffling off their responsibility? And therefore we are going to take on the additional cost. And I don't think we necessarily want to get into day passes to our dump because that's a whole other thing. But I guess I'm having mixed feelings about giving over free passes. Because it feels like the cost is being transferred from the campground who is making the money off the seasonal folks to the town to then handle it.
Will you remind me like the logistics? So is it that people own like pieces of land and then they can like rent that to anyone with a camper or?
so the last time we talked, I had misinformation.
Okay.
So we'll go with the better information. Sandy Beach itself pays taxes.
Okay.
And I don't know for sure because I haven't talked to the assessing department to know exactly how it all works, but my understanding, Sandy Beach pays the taxes on their main buildings and the property. And the campers, and again, this is just my best way to explain it in my head, so I'm just trying to do that. The camper would be like if there was a building built on somebody's property, so you would get taxed extra to have a garage, a detached garage, or to have a large shed. I believe in a sense, that's how this works. So if you have a camper and you build a permanent deck on it, there's additional cost because of that permanent deck. And even if your camper is registered in your town, you still get taxed for that permanent deck.
Oh, Lord. Okay, so are people, like if you're from Massachusetts and you come up with a camper, you can rent by paying Sandy Beach?
Yes.
So it seems to me, given that this is still a dynamic situation with the transfer station and what we're gonna do with like the entrance, that a good reasonable short-term solution would be what you have presented, because we're talking like we're up against, when we don't have a lot of time to come up with some like grand plan for this. And I feel like you sort of get at the issue of the people who might not be taxpayers themselves, they are paying the taxpayer. I don't know, there's enough of like a line there that, I mean, it's not perfect, but I don't know what another reasonable solution is. And it's true, I don't think, obviously, we don't want people like throwing trash on the road. And if people have bigger items, they're paying for it anyway.
Right.
That's transfer station. So I don't know. If others have thoughts on like how to deal with this,
I mean,
please share.
I have two thoughts. One is it would be nice to hear from Jolene and from Sandy Beach about how they think this could be addressed. But in the interim, you know, you're right, the season is upon us and this is an issue now. And so if we are going to do this, I would just suggest the number of stickers we give them be fairly small. You know, maybe like 2, just to try to control as much as we can. You know, how many of the Sandy Beach users are going to be making use of the transfer station?
And we can charge Sandy Beach the $5 that we charge our residents.
Yeah.
And I mean, they're taxpayers, so we could say you want to have 2 stickers to start and see how that goes. We could charge them the $10.
Yeah.
And just require them to pay like a resident would. I did have, and this is by no means what we would need to do, but it was something on this idea, if we laminated something like that showed a dump sticker, and then the transfer station could clearly see you have a sticker. It's just a one-time temporary sticker technically, but it's showing that that's why you're there, is because you go to Sandy Beach and you're authorized to come into our transfer station with your grill, with your mattress, with your whatever the campground will no longer take. They're not going to be coming every day. They're not going to be coming every day, every week, because their regular household trash can still go in the dumpsters. It's just with their bigger items. And like you said, they're going to have to pay for those. So it's more just giving Sandy Beach something to allow their campers to come and throw big items away, which I don't anticipate being a big deal. I see it being at the end of the season maybe, but.
So wait, they're still gonna have a dumpster for regular trash, did you say?
They have a dumpster for regular trash.
Oh.
So Sandy Beach has they have dumpsters that their campers can throw their trash away in. But at the end of last year, they stopped allowing their campers to throw away any big items.
Oh.
Like a broken chair or something. Broken chair.
Sorry, I thought we were talking about like.
That sticker needs to say disposal fees may apply.
Yeah,
Because-
would definitely give them a list. I would supply them with that list as well, so their campers would know if you're throwing this away, this is gonna be your fee. And really, their option is to tote it home and bring it to their own dump. Or they can pay our fees, I guess is how I would think.
Because so many of them won't be local residents, whether it's on the pass or whether it's in a big sign that we ask them to post near that, just saying to check in at the office when you get to the transfer station. Not even saying give them directions about what to do when they get there. The only direction is go straight to the office
And then they
and
can.
then they will tell you
Yep.
what to do, versus because I just know how hard Jolene and team are working right now to get folks to put things in the right place. And for
Absolutely.
someone who's going once a year, once every other year, they're not gonna. So, to the office.
And I can
will.
reach out to Jolene and let her know or talk to her about it, definitely.
I just have one more suggestion, which is to pick a color. And then that way, because you said, and I agree with you, Sandy Beach is probably by the end of the season going to say, yeah, we never got that back. So I feel like if you make it blue, and then if we have to do this again,
And every time they want another one.
yeah,
They
yeah.
could charge their residents for $5 to use it.
That's true. Then
was one
maybe,
of the
you know, like our registrations, how they're a different color every year.
So green is the only sticker I have.
The paper.
Yeah, so I can, and I can reach out to Jolene and ask her what color do you think will stand out better?
Yeah.
Because even if they had this on their dashboard, they know they're coming, this is laminated, they throw it on their dashboard. It's almost as easy to see as our little green sticker that we have on our windshields. But
out of blue stickers?
these.
Mine's blue.
Mine's blue
You're
too.
blue.
But these were the new ones that Neil had to
new ones
get,
are-
when we,
Out last year.
yeah. Yeah, so they don't all match at this time.
Okay.
Thank you for coming up with a
Yeah.
temporary, maybe permanent solution. Really appreciate it.
Sandy Beach sounds on board with this for now, and I did tell her that this would just be to get us through this season, that it could change,
Yeah.
that we would need to work on things, but
Yeah. I
maybe to,
agree with give them two, you know?
right? And I mean, if they if they lose them, again, to peel this off and try to stick it, once it's been laminated, you're not gonna stick that to your windshield anyway, so it's not like they could be giving them out to other people or anything like that. It
To
would,
be fair, they could scan it.
they could. They could.
Think of doing something like
The
that.
unfortunate thing is they
No
could come in
pocket
here
with the race.
today, they could come in next week and we
Yeah.
would give the same person, there's no way for us to know that I already gave you a sticker, so.
Yeah,
They want them that
work to
bad.
do on this issue still. The transfer station comes up, we have like new and perplexing problems like this I would not have thought of. But we have not come to a complete resolution about stickers or the automated system or what we're gonna do. So there's more to come for sure, but yeah, this seems like a reasonable process for now.
Solution for this season at least, get us through this camping season and then we'll revisit.
Do you mind talking to Jolene or?
Not at all.
Okay.
I can definitely reach out to her and find out how she would like this to happen to make it
Okay.
easier for them. I can definitely do that.
Okay.
Yep.
Thank you for dealing with this.
Thank you guys. Have a good night.
Interesting.
We'll keep going.
Yeah.
Okay. Sorry that I was late. I was tied up with work stuff. Thank you, Stephen, for leading the group. All right, so we're now up to old business. Do we have any old business? Okay.
Can I ask about an old business?
Please.
The Poverty Plains Solar agreement that Ken and Andrew were here talking to us
Yeah.
about. Were we waiting on feedback from legal on that agreement?
I thought we were.
I guess that's my question is where does that stand?
We were supposed to look at it.
Yeah, because I think
I thought they were gonna send something. Weren't they gonna send the?
I don't recall. I mean, I know Ken was emailing with me asking if we were gonna be approving the agreement tonight. And so if we're waiting on something from them, I don't think they're aware of what that is.
Okay.
No, I feel like what it had been is a chance to look over the contract and then come back together at the next meeting and either approve or disapprove.
Mhm.
And I do remember at the public comment section, Lauren, had made a couple of good points for us to follow up on, and I'm trying to remember it now.
Mhm.
Yeah, so if we could circle back to that and just see if it's just, we need to put it on, it needs to be in the agenda and part of the packet for us to look at, or if there's some,
Yeah.
you know, more work that needs to be done.
Yeah, I think we were gonna review it, so I guess we could do that and put it on the agenda for the next meeting. Okay. I will add that for old business for the next.
Thank you.
And there was a deadline, right? Was it July 1st? Was it?
Well, for the was. intent was the thing that we had to move quickly on, I think, but was the contract itself as urgent? I don't remember.
I think if I remember right, I mean, if we don't act timely on it, they may offer the cost incentives to other neighboring communities. And so
And it does say the letter of intent is non-binding, it does not constitute an obligation.
so if we could tee it up for our next meeting, I think
Yeah.
that would be good.
Yeah.
Do we want to have legal look at this? Because if so, we should give that direction to Kelly.
Mm-hmm. Have you read this?
I have.
Okay.
I mean, my sense of it is that they're pretty boilerplate.
Yeah.
Don't know if we had edits that they would
Yeah.
accommodate us.
I don't think they would based off their comments at the meeting.
That's what I took away as well.
Mhm.
Yeah.
They were like, this is the thing, but the good news is you're not stuck with it. We just need to know that you're interested so that we could back out at any point during it.
Well, that was for the letter of intent. This is
Oh,
not quite so simple. I don't.
Oh,
think.
that's the, okay.
This
that's
is
the
a-
letter of intent.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's like termination provisions. Okay, well, I guess if we, either way, we can have it on the next meeting, and if we feel like we need legal to review, we can send that along. And have potentially, I guess, if we have issues to discuss a non-public at the next meeting, but if we can't negotiate, I guess it's just making sure there's nothing in here that gives us severe heartburn.
I just have a question. I mean, and maybe they covered this last time and I apologize, but it lists Appendix A and Appendix B, and it says Appendix B lists the estimated kilowatt usage of the members' participating accounts, and Appendix B is blank.
And we,
There was 5 town facilities that were at a level that met what,
right.
how they define.
Okay, I see. They do have numbers down at the bottom of it. It just doesn't list like, it doesn't say the transfer station or the library.
And I presume that information would be filled in with our account info were we to go ahead with this. Yeah. But we did get that information to them.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna take a closer look at this. And others, please feel free to as well, and we can just deal with it at our next meeting.
Okay. Yep. Thank you.
Just to clarify, you just want me to put it on the agenda for the next meeting?
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
So we're not asking Kelly to send it to the attorney,
Um,
the other attorneys that aren't you two?
Not at this point, I don't think. I have not read it carefully, so I'd like to do that. Okay. Any other old business? Okay, so we have one item under new business, certificate of vote for bond. Does this mean I'm supposed to read every? Oh, God, okay.
I'll
I'm
read
sick
it.
of my voice. I think I'm supposed to.
It's
Doesn't matter.
that it could be, it could be like one at a time, or you could just
Okay.
do them all together and vote on them all together.
I like reading out loud.
Okay.
I don't mind,
This is the problem. She doesn't want to read, you want to read?
You take the first one and pass it down. Steven can do one, I'll do one.
Okay, you mean like resolved? Resolved?
That's, we have to read the resolve, right? Word by word.
Okay, yeah, the first
I
one.
think
is
it's
my
all
vote
three.
for this one. So I'm gonna read this down to here. Is
Do
that
we
right?
need to read the intro or just the
That's
resolution?
my understanding.
Oh,
Like,
we're
we
reading
don't
the whole
usually-
Tell me a story.
Just the
Start at the
resolution.
beginning.
Wait,
So you just need to read the
so
resolution.
just a resolve.
Resolved. Okay, perfect.
Okay.
Ready?
We have a recorder.
Resolved. That under and pursuant to the Municipal Finance Act, Chapter 33, NHRSA as amended, the New Hampshire Municipal Bond Bank Law, Chapter 35-A, NHRSA as amended, and other laws in addition thereto, and to votes of the issuer duly adopted on March 20th, 2025, under Article 4 of the warrant for such annual meeting of the issuer, there be and hereby is authorized the issuance of a $712,000 bond of the issuer, the bond, which is being issued by the issuer for the purpose of financing the engineering, design, and construction for sludge removal from the wastewater treatment facility lagoons. The bond shall be dated as of its date of issuance, shall be in such numbers and denominations as the purchaser shall request, shall mature in accordance with the schedule set forth in Exhibit A, to a certain loan agreement hereafter described as the loan agreement, shall bear a net interest cost rate as defined in the loan agreement of 4.5%, 4.5% per annum, such lesser amount as may be determined by a majority of the board. The bond shall be substantially in the form set forth as Exhibit B to the loan agreement, and otherwise shall be issued in such manner and form as the signatory shall approve by their execution thereof.
Well done.
Okay,
Wait, do we, yeah.
So is that the?
Flip the page.
But so, oh yeah, should I just keep going? I'll read
We
them
don't
all.
have to do each one as like a motion and vote, just the whole thing?
No, they can be all done in one group.
Would you like to read?
I'll just read them all. I don't mind at all.
It reads like instructions that were poorly moved from a different language to English.
It's not the clearest thing.
Yeah. Second one, resolved that the bond shall be sold to the bond bank at the par value thereof plus any applicable premium.
Okay, I'll read the next one. I got it here.
Okay, no.
Give you a break. That in order to evidence the sale of the bond, the treasurer of issuer and a member of the board are authorized and directed to execute, attest, and deliver in the name and on behalf of the issuer a loan agreement in substantially the form submitted to this meeting, which is hereby approved with such changes therein not inconsistent with this vote and approved by the officers executing the same on behalf of the issuer. The approval of such changes by said officers shall be conclusively evidenced by the execution of the loan agreement by such officers. Okay, anyone else?
And
want
all things heretofore done and all action heretofore taken by the issuer and its officers and agents in its authorization of the project to be financed by the bond are hereby ratified, approved, and confirmed. That the clerk and the signers of the bond are each hereby authorized to take any and all action necessary and convenient. That was nice of them to carry out the provisions of this vote, including delivering the bond against payment therefore.
Are you taking us home or?
I'll take us home.
Okay, here we go. Final one.
Resolved that the useful life of the project being financed is in excess of 10 years. I further certified that said meeting was open to the public. The aforesaid vote was not taken by secret ballot nor in executive session. That notice of the time and place of said meeting was posted in at least 2 appropriate public places within the territorial limits of the issuer, or published in the newspaper of general circulation in said area at least 24 hours, excluding Sundays and legal holidays, before said meeting, that no deliberations or actions with respect to the vote were taken in executive session, and that the minutes of said meeting have been promptly recorded and have been or will be made open to inspection not more than 5 business days after the meeting, all in accordance with Chapter 91A NHRSA as amended. And then the last line says, I further certify that the above vote has not been amended or rescinded and remains in full force and effect as of this date.
I move that the board adopt all of those resolutions that were individually read into the record.
Second.
All right, second. All those in favor?
Aye.
It's unanimous. Thank you, readers.
I was once told that lawyers used to be paid by the word way back when. Is that correct?
It's
No.
No, that's not.
but
Okay.
perhaps by the 6-minute increment.
Yeah.
No, okay. Okay, thank you. All right, town administrator updates. You have things for us, Chloe?
So the only thing that I had was the question from last time from the expenditures on the election overage. So there are a couple reimbursements from the school that had not been in yet. So, I think the line showed that it was overspent by over 3,000. Yeah, $3,295.87. And that will actually be reduced to $1,622.87 that it was spent over. And that was because it was mostly due to the extra pages required for the planning and zoning ballots. It was a lot more than it normally is, and they charge us per page. And then there was the handicap accessible tablet. We usually didn't have to have that at town meeting, and they required it at town meeting, so we had to get that programmed.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So considering the ongoing work of the housing committee, should we plan to increase the budget for this kind of thing? Because we're gonna have more paper needs as they introduce more changes and updates to the ordinances?
Yeah, I think so. I don't know for 100%, but I thought that there was like a lot of housekeeping type items that they were taking care of. So
There might be more.
okay. So that will be a good thing for Christine to keep in mind going into budget season, and I'll make sure I keep an eye on that too.
All right, was that it?
I have a question.
Yeah.
The next meeting will be Karen's first meeting. Is there anything that we can do to help you in the next 2 weeks get ready for her to be here or something like that?
Think I'm pretty good. Like, yeah, I can't think of anything,
If you do,
but okay,
shoot a text.
definitely.
And yes, the end is in sight for you being the default administrator. So thank you again, Kelly.
Who's coming?
Such a good sport and taking this on. I mean, you guys, everyone has really stepped up and yeah, thank you very much. Okay, so that brings us to the public forum. I don't know if anyone online would like to speak. You can raise your hand. We'll bring you over. Okay, would anyone in the room wish to speak?
Wait.
Oh, okay. Bonnie.
Unmuted now?
You're good. Hi, Bonnie.
Hi. I just wondered, you mentioned a little bit about the access system to the transfer station. Where are we in terms of considering a gate system, as Jeff had described at one point?
I think we're in a bit of a pause on that, in part because of this transition to a new town administrator. So we definitely need to like have additional conversations with the transfer station staff on that, because I believe they have very good informed opinions on what direction to go with that. So we're like a few things, it's sort of on pause. So we haven't ruled it out, but I think we still have more work to do on that.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. All right. Thanks, Bonnie.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Okay. Well, thank you to everyone who joined us tonight. Does anyone have, any board committee updates?
I mean, I had housing committee. Does everyone, no one else have committee meetings? What is going on?
Mine's Wednesday.
So housing committee was this past week and we dug more deeply into some of the recommendations from the consultant, which are definitely directional. They're not like, here's the wording or here's the warrant. It's more like directionally, here are places you could go. And the committee named that the recommendations that were around aligning our zoning to current laws was a priority. And then cleaning up our own language where we had over the years or decades made mistakes, such as using the term verbo in our zoning were other areas that we wanted to get cleaned up, so it was much clearer to people. And then we were digging into other various and also discussing our joint meeting coming up. I believe it's June 26th, but I don't remember if that's the correct date or not. But there's a joint housing committee, planning board meeting just to discuss where the housing committee is in their process and share some of the initial findings with the planning board so that they can be brought along on the journey as well and can help inform what the housing committee is doing. But overall, it was a super productive meeting this past week. Also, Kelly and Sabrina were clutch in helping me figure out how to turn the fans on. So thank you both so much. for-
Not me. I think Open Space Committee will be meeting sometime in June, so maybe I'll have an update someday too, so. Okay, thank you. Anyone have anything for other?
I just wanted to ask, you said the Thursday, the 26th is that joint meeting?
I want to say yes. Give me a second, just check my actual calendar. I'm sorry. My
Oh, yeah.
brain is a little
That's a
bit.
good question.
Yes, it is. I have it at 6:30 PM. It would be here, I
Okay.
believe. And it should be on the town website. I will double check that after this. But it should be on there.
Okay. We have several non-publics, so we will vote to go into non-public and then come out of non-public and we will not conduct any other business and we will adjourn. So, thank you everyone who joined us tonight. I'll move that we go into non-public RSA 91A32E, which is legal, and we have 4 of those. So it's a roll call vote. Vicky?
Yes.
Stephen?
Yes.
I'm a yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Hi.
And I seconded that
Oh,
motion.
sorry, yeah. I need the motion, Stephen second.
Seconded.
It's under your breath.
Sorry,
Yep, good job.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Bye, guys.
Thank you, Dave.
People online. Thank you, friends.
Stay late.